What's the good word, y'all? DKB here. So Jermaine Johnson II, could a position change unlock some hidden potential for him heading into a sophomore year? So I know this extreme came across an article from Daniel Kelly that mentioned this potentially being the best situation for him and figured it'd be an interesting idea to pose to everybody. So Jermaine Johnson II, when we think about our 2022 NFL draft class, he's kind of the forgotten middle stepchild. In a lot of situations, we're taking a look at Garrett Wilson, who looks like a rookie offensive player of the year. Sauce Gardner, first team All-Pro, defensive player of the year, whispers that he could have probably gotten a vote or two for defensive player of the year. We take a look at Breece Hall. A lot of people would have said he probably would have high and away ran away from our class with the Offensive Rookie of the Year award over Garrett Wilson. Max Mitchell offered a huge lifeline at tackle for us when we severely needed it, way ahead of schedule in his development. And then you take a look at a Michael Clemens, who is just a man's man, right? He looks like something built out of Baki from my anime folks. And then we have Jermaine Johnson II, who quietly had a successful season as well, but as a first-round rookie, there's just a lot of expectations that get hyped up there. So for comparison's sake, Michael Clemens and Jermaine Johnson II honestly had pretty similar statistical outputs. Granted, there was a few variations in terms of usage, ability to get on field, and of course just availability. Jermaine Johnson ended up being out 3 games due to an ankle injury, but there was a lot to like his rookie year. You talk about him making plays in space when he didn't happen to be blocked, or when he did actually have a game plan, or was just working around in traffic. He ended up playing 34% of his defensive snaps on the year as part of the defensive line rotation, and then he chipped in 29% of his snap count at special teams, while of course he continued to try to push for more playing time and break through a pretty dense defensive line. Now, some things highlight-wise that I love. In pressure rate, he finished just outside the top 10 at number 11 on the team, with 6 on the season, I believe it was. Second highest out of the rookies behind Michael Clemens. And then he had one of the lowest missed tackle rates at 3.3% on the team, 4th lowest, and then of course again just behind Michael Clemens. And we've seen a lot of the things that we saw in his scouting report stick out immediately. Elite run defense, able to set the edge very well, and then of course we've seen the ability for him to go out there and get to the quarterback to a certain degree. 2.5 sacks on the year, again not too far off from the likes of Trayvon Walker, and players of those ilk that weren't Aiden Hutchinson. So why are we talking about a potential position change? Daniel Kelly mentioned this as we've seen him at his best making plays in space where he wasn't necessarily blocked right away. A huge, emphasis of that came from the Buffalo Bills game where he was able to go out there and get Josh Allen, right? We've seen his relentless motor time after time after time. It could be a huge benefit, and we're also talking about a linebacker situation where we don't know what's going to happen. We have a lot of different players that we have to focus on, a huge contract in Quentin Williams to offer, and so Quincy Williams, Quan Alexander could potentially price their way out, or we could look to go in a different direction. And again, Jermaine Johnson's only played 34% of the defensive snap count, so if he's looking to up that number, potentially becoming an outside linebacker for this team can get the job done. If nothing else, maybe this becomes kind of a specialized role in the mold of Bryce Huff, where when he isn't in the base defensive package on the defensive line, he drops outside more so exactly as a pass rusher and plays that Bryce Huff role where we can have him and Bryce Huff, if he gets re-signed, potentially screaming off the edge of that defensive line and trying to get after whatever quarterback we happen to be facing on that Sunday. Some things that probably would play to his benefit would be the fact that we're running a hybrid cover 3 defense. A lot of what made Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich successful when it comes to developing their linebackers is that they really only need the physical traits, the mentality, all of that kind of stuff. They don't ask a ton, in relation, say, to what linebackers in the past have been asked to do, or what you can see out of 3-4 defensive linebackers, in that we are mainly looking for them to kind of evade the tacklers, right? Just make the play on the ball. attack the line of scrimmage and run defense. And then when it comes to pass coverage, we're looking for them to be able to go sideline to sideline, but really cover that intermediate zone range, so 10 to 20-ish yards, and prevent anything, extremely damaging from coming up. And while we don't know what his pass coverage ability would necessarily look like, he definitely has the speed to cover sideline to sideline. He definitely can make the plays, and we know that he's elite in his run defense. And if things continue, we shouldn't see a lot of missed tackles, which has been a huge no-no for us on defense. So I feel like if that did come about, then there's a little bit of there's going to be a little bit of a hit when it comes to a draft grading for him, right? We're expecting him to be one of the edge presences of the future. It could also kind of seem like we're giving up on the prospects of him being that elite edge rusher for us in lieu of filling, kind of another need. So maybe another experiment that we don't want on defense. I, for one, would say let him continue honing his craft on the defensive line at edge, see what he can do. Honestly, I'm kind of hoping that potentially him and Michael Clemens together replace what Carl Lawson was able to do, unless we find a way to restructure him. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Jermaine Johnson at outside linebacker, does that sound intriguing? Or should we just let him go ahead and stay at defensive line? Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. I'll catch you again. Peace.